Hey guys, it's Fightflow. You know what I really respect about certain fighters? Is their willingness to take on tougher and tougher challenges. In the world of combat sports, that often means stepping up in weight and fighting bigger opponents. And man, David the Haymaker Haye is without a doubt one of the most savage boxers of all time because of that exact mentality. This guy was a natural cruiserweight, but he didn't stop there. He moved up to fight heavyweights, and sometimes not even just heavyweights, straight up giants. Imagine being offered a fight against a real-life ogre, and your response is, hell yeah, I'll fight him. Why not? That'll be a spectacle. That's the mindset David Haye brought to the ring, always wanting to give the fans the best entertainment possible. So today we're diving into some of the most memorable fights of this underrated boxing legend. Tighten your seatbelts, brothers and sisters, because this one's going to be wild. Definitely not for the weak-hearted. You might just fall off your chair, your couch, or wherever the hell you're watching this from. Quick reminder before we start. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hype this video. I'd really appreciate it. Alright, let's get into some action.
Here and towards the back of the head, Arnold Gjergjaj sunk to the around the 30-second mark, and a left jab has put him on the floor this time. David Haye in complete control.
Let's start with one of the most heated and legendary David Haye fights, his clash against Dereck Chisora. These two really didn't like each other. There was a lot of bad blood between these two savages. But now the talking was over. The wild press conference brawls were behind them. It was time to throw down, to smash each other's jaws into 100 pieces. The fight begins, and right away you can feel the heat. Chisora comes out aggressive, bullying Haye out of the center of the ring. But David isn't fazed at all. He knows, after everything that's gone down between them, Chisora will be super motivated to knock his head off. The size difference is also noticeable. Chisora looks like the bigger, heavier man, but by this point in his career, David is no stranger to fighting the biggest guys in boxing. No worries, he can handle the big boys. Round 1. David already shows his superior head movement and reactions. Chisora pushes hard, trapping Haye in the corners, trying to overwhelm him with pressure. But Haye does a good job countering the aggressive approach. He's not just surviving, he's making Chisora think twice.
Improved enormously in the last year, and that experience against Vitali in the Klitschko fight is that he can't afford to let Haye get into a rhythm and stack up rounds early on.
Yeah.
Bang that jab in his chest, okay?
The other voice in that corner was...
Round 2. Chisora steps on the gas, coming in even harder, almost leaning on David like it's an MMA match.
Question marks on occasion about his stamina as well. Now this is where Chisora wants it.
But David stays composed. He doesn't rush. He starts to find his timing, picking his shots, and landing sharp, piercing punches that frustrate Chisora. And look at Haye, he's still showing volume even while moving backwards. That's exactly what you need to do against bigger guys. Don't just run from them, sting them, make them pay for their aggression.
The attempted uppercut taken on the arms. Now Chisora's into range, and you see he's trying to get space to land that.
So steep and so coming down onto David Haye's head.
And right at the end of the round, David starts to taunt him a little, probably saying something like, "Watch and learn, you big buffoon." A strong start for David.
That was the super slow motion replay, but it was delivered with real speed.
Yeah.
Round 3 begins and Chisora lands a few shots, nothing major, but David has already found his rhythm and timing. Chisora starts paying the price for his straight ahead, no strategy pressure.
Lovely sharp right hand from Haye, great hand speed and accuracy.
Haye begins cracking that high guard, landing clean shots, doing real damage. And David's smiling, he's vibing, in his groove, he's fighting smart, tactical. Meanwhile Chisora is still trying to walk him down, brute force style. The end of this round gets savage. Chisora starts unloading in close range, but David doesn't back down, he fires right back, letting the leather fly.
A painful lesson to learn, but nonetheless.
Chisora getting into range, now they go toe to toe. Look at this!
I don't know if David Haye switched off or not, or Chisora did then and maybe come back.
That was that left hand after the bell, and a bit.
The crowd feels it, the heat, the hate, the high stakes. Round 4 and Chisora is still relentless. He bites down on his mouthpiece and starts throwing bombs. But Haye's counters are precise, fast and deadly. He might be the smaller man, but he's like a goddamn lion fighting an elephant. Outpowered, but confident and lethal.
Good left hand from Haye, lovely punch.
Another great round for David.
He's surely 4 rounds up. His fight, let's hear what Adam's saying. a terrific, lovely shot.
Yeah, and a good right-hand return from Chisora. Lovely uppercut inside from David Haye to start the exchange. The first and the last say in the exchange as well.
Then comes round 5, the moment Haye shows exactly why he's one of the best to ever do it. By now he's slipping every punch Chisora throws and immediately responding with his own. Chisora's a tank, no doubt about it. He can take punishment, but David's about to launch the javelin missile that'll take this tank apart. Near the end of the round, David catches Chisora with a beautiful left hand, and Dereck goes down.
Oh, big left hand and right! Tremendous from Haye! Left hook, right hand, and Chisora down in the fifth!
He beats the count, gets back up, tries to clinch and survive the round, but David is relentless. He unleashes a storm, high volume, explosive combos, and boom, Chisora is out, and the grudge between them is finally settled.
The punches that he was able to find. There's the left hand and there's the right.
Not stopping it whatsoever. You know, perfect, right on the button. He was going off that, the right hand, just Chisora being brave, trying to fight, but when you're disorientated, there's no way you're going to fight.
Now let's move on to David Haye's showdown with Enzo Maccarinelli. The face-off between these two was intense. Eyes locked, no smiles, just pure tension. The question was, would that intensity carry over into the ring? The fight starts and both fighters came out cautious. You can feel the mutual respect. Enzo managed to land a clean left hook that stumbles David slightly, knocking him off balance for a moment. A warning shot, letting Haye know he's in there with real power. But David resets, settles in and starts working behind his jab, slowly getting into rhythm.
Haye has a habit of carrying.
Both men are willing to trade at range, but it's Haye who looks a little faster, a little sharper in those exchanges. It might not be the strongest start for David, but by the end of the first round, he's clearly outworking Enzo, finding his distance and setting the tone.
You know, we're seeing two fighters. Later on, David Haye was able to get that right-handed and then the hook.
Round 2, and David's hands are locked and loaded. Early in the round, he lands a huge right hand that rocks Enzo.
Not long ago, and stopped Thomas Bonin in a minute 45.
That's the spark. From that moment on, Haye flips the switch and enters destruction mode. He's laser focused, eyes dialed in like a predator who's found his target. Then boom, another massive right hand. Enzo's legs buckle. He's hurt bad. David traps him in the corner and unleashes a ruthless barrage. Precise, fast, violent. Enzo is wobbling all over the place, trying to stay up, trying to survive. But the referee has seen enough. He steps in and waves it off. Enzo wants to keep fighting, but it's not his call. The ref just saved him from further punishment. Time to pack the bags and head back to the drawing board, because this was David Haye's ring now. A flawless, brutal performance by the Haymaker. Quick, clinical and dominant.
Was there tonight, unfortunately for Enzo, and land the right hand. Now here, that's really a knockdown there, and the referee didn't really come in to stop the action. That created a problem. Was it because your left was a little low coming back from the jabs?
Well, you can see,
Let's move on to probably the craziest fight David Haye ever had, against the Russian living giant Nikolai Valuev, a real-life David vs. Goliath story. The size difference was insane. Valuev's head alone probably weighed more than some of Haye's past opponents. Seriously, just look at the size of that thing. No wonder no one had ever knocked him down. Say what you want, but these two, David and Valuev, almost didn't look like they were from the same species. The fight begins, and Valuev takes the center of the ring with ease. Haye, on the other hand, is constantly moving. He knows. The moment he stops, this giant of a man might eat him alive. And just look at Valuev's face when Haye lands a body shot. It's like he's thinking, really, you think that's going to hurt me, mortal? But Haye understands, it's going to take precise shots to the chin to even make a dent in this man. And from the second round on, he starts doing exactly that, locking onto the target, catching Valuev with sharp, clean combinations. But Valuev can take punishment, shots that would drop most of Haye's opponents. Valuev just shrugs them off like they're nothing.
Too much. Here's the right hand again. Left uppercut.
He's having to produce something he's never produced before. Valuev, Jim, as if to say, these aren't registering. I think they might be.
By the middle of the fight, Haye begins to loosen up. He starts believing in himself. He no longer sees Valuev as some savage leviathan who just crawled out of a cave. Now he's just a giant punching bag. Whenever Valuev tries to catch Haye with a punch, he's swinging at air.
Pressing the judges, I wouldn't think so.
Well, they're not.
Jab to the body from Valuev. David missed with 3 shots there.
Haye is everywhere, a display of agility and ring IQ at its finest. At one point, Haye is so comfortable in the chaos, he drops his hands completely, like it's a walk in the park. That's David at his peak, confident, sharp, and staring danger right in the face.
Out of you, Valuev boxing at his own pace, and those punches look.
In the second half of the fight, Haye enters what you could call his Matrix mode. He increases his offense, moves like a cat, and stings like a bullet ant.
Championship fights, when he's nearly always at home advantage, he's got him with a body shot.
Valuev, frustrated, seems to be thinking, why did God give me all this size and power, if a much smaller man can just dance around me and tear me apart like this?
A couple of times which Valuev has struggled to do up to now. Minutes. For me, it was Valuev again.
By this point, it's all David Haye. He's taken almost no damage, except for a broken hand he suffered from hitting Valuev's head, which honestly looked and probably felt like concrete. But he figured out a giant. He keeps landing clean combinations, one after another. In the final rounds, Valuev is feeling it. In the early rounds, he'd just shake his head as if to say, "Your punches are nothing, little man." But now, every time Haye lands, Valuev feels it. David even almost drops him, coming closer than anyone ever had to knocking down this monstrous figure.
Two good shots from Haye.
Feel like it's paper darts
And
against the
again.
mouth.
Oh, he's got it going with a left hook. What a finish here. Hey!
Conducting the crowd, saying I've won this, you know. He certainly made Valuev look very silly.
The fight goes to the distance, and of course, David Haye gets the unanimous decision. An incredibly impressive win. Just stepping into the ring with his ogre takes serious courage. But Haye didn't just survive, he outplayed the giant with ease.
Look at this again, Jim.
Well, that's what we're saying. Did he have the power to shake him? And do you know that was?
Next up, David Haye vs John Ruiz. The fight starts with fireworks. David drops Ruiz in the very first minute with a fast 1-2 combo.
Oh, what a right hand! And down goes Ruiz. What a punch that is!
Ruiz gets back to his feet, but Haye immediately swarms him. Ruiz gets tangled in the ropes, and the referee rules it another takedown. Ruiz protests, claiming he was hit in the back of the head, but the ref ignores the complaint and lets the fight continue. David stays aggressive, headhunting, and pouring in a ton of energy trying to finish Ruiz early, but this son of a bitch isn't going away that easy.
The power has travelled up with him.
Unbelievable power. That right hand that cost heavyweight boxers. That shows you how tough Ruiz manages to do that.
And look at this, by the end of the round Ruiz has fully recovered and is starting to throw some offense of his own. What a crazy first round.
He's the man who keeps bouncing back, but my goodness, Harry will have to bounce back in this fight. He's starting to do it, lands with a right hand and a right hand.
What a punch that was.
Round 2 begins and now Ruiz looks completely awake. He comes forward hard, almost as if to say, "It won't be that easy, boy." David looks a bit winded after the explosive first round. That's the risk of going all out early, and Ruiz seems to be capitalizing on it.
Well, if we questioned what
Ruiz working well with the jump.
But by the end of the round, Haye finds his second win. He starts letting his hands go again and regains control of the fight.
I think you can see the level of determination.
And John Ruiz has to think, I can't take too many. Look up to the plate again. That's the shot that I reckon.
From that point on, Haye's defense sharpens. If the first 2 rounds were all offense and risk, the middle rounds show a more disciplined, masterful display of boxing. Ruiz keeps pressing and throwing volume, but David is no longer taking clean shots. He's slipping, blocking and countering with precision.
Good right hand from Ruiz right at the start. We wondered, did he come here for the pension job? No, he's here for the title. Lovely punching from Haye.
Oh, right hand.
Then in round 5, Haye starts teeing off again. He finds his timing and distance perfectly and drops Ruiz once more.
The good round from Haye. Lovely shot.
This time Ruiz goes down to a knee, almost like a knight kneeling before the king, acknowledging who's in charge.
Well, just when Ruiz felt maybe he was getting a little foothold, that's what I took down before the rabbit punch landed. That was the punch.
But don't think for a second that Ruiz is done. This guy's a warrior. He gets back up and starts throwing leather like it's just another day in the office. Now Haye really wants to end it. He's landing heavy, damaging shots. If Valuev was a freak of nature with an iron head, then Ruiz is a dog with an iron heart. No quit in him whatsoever. His face is busted up by this point, but he keeps marching forward like a Spartan at Thermopylae. Still, let's be clear, this was total domination by David Haye. 4 knockdowns throughout the fight. and by the second half of the fight, the referee was seriously watching Ruiz's condition. Sometimes fighters are too tough for their own good, and Ruiz is a textbook example. In the 9th round, after Ruiz continued blocking Haye's punches with his face, his corner finally stepped in. "Alright buddy, that's a wrap. Your brain's probably blending from all that bouncing." They threw in towel and the ref stopped the fight. Splendid performance by David Haye. And hats off to John Ruiz, one tough bastard for sure.
Given everything he had, no signs there were any hope he could get himself into this fight. Thankfully, Miguel Diaz had seen enough.
From a rabbit punch, but Haye, between one of the Klitschko brothers and David Haye, there's the moment that Miguel Diaz.
Another complete destruction by David Haye came in his fight against Arnold Gjergjaj. Right from the start, David cracked Arnold's defensive shell with ease, landing a piston-fast right hand.
Advertising logos all over the legs. The first coming together. And David Haye immediately looking to tee off with hooks and uppercuts. Gjergjaj walking in behind a high-held guard. His body was rather open as his elbow displayed, and a thunderous right hand!
It didn't take long for the first knockdown. David wasted no time. Arnold got back up quickly, but he was clearly stunned. Nobody warned him that David would start teeing off on him in the opening minutes like that. The fight continued with Arnold in full defense mode, while David, brimming with confidence, went to work. He tried to bait Arnold into opening up, but Arnold was basically like, "Nah man, I'll give you this round, just let me survive it." David was smart in this one, he didn't rush the finish. That's exactly how it should be. Save your energy, don't be the guy who only lasts a few minutes. Toward the end of the round, Arnold went down again.
For his right, that put the man over. There's 40 seconds of round number 1. And the right hand is sunk in again!
He wasn't too happy that some of David's punches landed around the back of his head. But come on man, if you're shelled up like that, it's inevitable that a few shots will slip off and graze the back. You don't need to be a boxing expert to get that. That's on you. In the second round, David beautifully baited Arnold with a jab, getting him to open up just a bit. And boom, another knockdown from the haymaker. After that, it didn't take long for David to finish the job. Arnold was frustrated, exhausted and completely out of his league. David closed the show with ease. The referee showed mercy and stopped the beatdown.
David Haye, well I'm sure he's received position during sparring than he's receiving here. Arnold Gjergjaj being completely overwhelmed, and for the second time...
Easy, clinical and perfect performance from Haye.
Better chance of a look at it here. Just solid to the floor every single time.
To Arnold Gjergjaj, but it was a step up in level. But I suspect that David Haye...
Next up, David Haye vs Jean-Marc Mormeck. The fight starts and Mormeck's tactic is pretty strange. Right away he completely shells up and tries to bully David. But to do that against Haye, you really need a size advantage. And that's not the case here. Both fighters are approximately the same size, with Mormeck just slightly bigger. David quickly takes advantage of that and starts punishing Mormeck through the guard. Not the cleanest shots, but enough to make Mormeck feel them. First round, all David.
To the forehead, now you hear Mormeck, double jab, Mormeck comes back, nothing really lands here, David digs him.
Second round and Mormeck keeps up his aggressive pressure. He's trying to smother Haye, not letting him get comfortable or work from range. And for the first half of the round, it works. David struggles to get his shots off under that pressure.
So we saw him against O'Neal Bell where he got hit, and now Mormeck is putting the pressure on him.
But in the second half, Haye finds his rhythm, landing some nice body head combos.
I can tell you that right now. That's round number 1, but that's as he put pressure on.
Still, Mormeck is relentless and keeps the heat on until the bell. A pretty successful round for Mormeck. Third round and Mormeck starts to slow down a bit. The fight opens up as both guys begin exchanging more freely, landing some decent shots on both sides.
There's a right hand lead that time by Mormeck into it every time Mormeck does anything. Clean guys. Mormeck is going to see it. He jabs, he's hit him with some vicious body shots. Comes forward, and finally there's a right hand. Up that right hand. What happened that time was Mormeck got his right shoulder forward.
In round 4, Mormeck eats everything Haye throws and just keeps moving forward. Tough dude, no doubt about it. Midway through the round, Mormeck traps David in the corner and lands a solid right hand. Boom, first knockdown. That's a wake-up call for Haye. Now Mormeck is in full hunter mode, walking David down, Mike Tyson style, trying to force a second knockdown. But he doesn't get it. Haye doesn't shell up or go into full defense mode. His defense is offense. That's what helps him survive the round.
Fight, watch this. Left hook right there and the right hand just grazed him. He really didn't get a nice job scrambling. Watch Haye when he gets hit and realizes he's in a bit of trouble.
Round 5 and David turns up the volume. He's digging into Mormeck with uppercuts and vicious body shots, trying to crack that tight guard. Another grueling round for both fighters.
For the Union Jack, does the right hand again. Right hand, Richie Giacchetti giving the signals as the uppercut catches him. It's usually, you break the body down, they say the head will follow, but...
Then comes round 6, and David starts doing a much better job at both dishing out damage and avoiding it. He's moving smarter, landing cleaner.
2 assaults in him in a round. Okay. Alright, make him boxer. Make him boxer.
Round 7 is where the real heat starts. Haye does a fantastic job finding openings, picking his shots with precision. Around the second minute, he slips a nasty uppercut right through Mormeck's guard. And that's the beginning of the end. The first knockdown from Haye is the only he needs. Mormeck is done at this point. David might not be the hardest puncher out there, but once again he proves that skill beats size and technique beats strength almost every time.
This! Right there, he cracked him with the left hand. Right hand, caught vicious body shots, but it was the uppercut that did the damage. Skipping forward, all she wrote. Watch this shot. He's turning his head away, a little bit behind the ear, but when the guy's turning away, there's nothing you can do about it.
Now let's take a look at David's fight with Audley Harrison, another bout where David is at a huge height disadvantage. The first round is a classic feeling out process, with no real damage done. Haye spends the round measuring distance, taking his time to figure out how to reach that towering frame. Things get a bit more interesting in the second round. David starts opening up, with some looping shots aimed at Harrison's head. Harrison looks visibly intimidated by Haye. Strange to see such a big guy backing up from someone so much smaller, but that's probably the effect of the Haymaker's aura. The third round is where David punishes him for being so timid. With zero respect for Harrison's offense, Haye starts unloading a barrage of punches.
To become a World Cup. He's into him here, he's getting to him here. Oh, big shots!
Grab hold! He needs to grab hold of David Haye!
Harrison goes down fast, but managed to beat the count. Though honestly, he probably should have stayed down. David jumps on him immediately with no chance for Harrison to recover. One of the easiest fights of Haye's career, without a doubt. Let's move on to David's fight with Fragameni. This was one of the rare moments in David's career where he actually had the size advantage. The fight starts and Fragameni immediately shells up, bobbing and weaving, trying to stay elusive. But David, as always, is working smart, firing off crisp combinations, looking to break through that high guard from the jump. Fragameni does manage to catch David with a few solid shots, so it kicks off as a pretty competitive matchup.
Finish!
Well, he's always in good shape, and David Haye has his own ideas about preparing himself.
Round 2. Fragameni keeps that tough guy pressure coming. He's clearly willing to eat a shot just to land his own. But unfortunately for him, in this round he barely touches Haye. The Haymaker starts reading him like a comic book. Fragameni's patterns are too predictable, and David takes full advantage. He begins to pick him apart, finding the gaps in his guard and landing clean shots.
As Haye softened him up of the Italian.
This kind of fighting, but he's coping with it so well. He's a beautiful shot.
Another right hand.
Round 3. Fragameni bites down on that mouthpiece and charges in even harder. Credit where it's due, he's a tough motherfucker, no doubt about it. But David doesn't back down. He meets that aggression with aggression of his own. They start trading wild blows, each one of them packing enough power to put 99% of the planet's population to sleep. Round 4 is where the things get rough for David. Fragameni is relentless. This Italian stallion is chasing Haye like he just found out he put pineapple on his pizza. David's clearly frustrated. He cracked Fragameni with some brutal shots in the earlier rounds, but somehow the guy's looking even stronger now, feeding off the damage and bringing pure violence into this round. Tough and gritty round for Haye.
Of the eye.
Well, the referee handled the incident well, he just kept well out of it, but that was the punch, and you see the punch, and that was just the added incentive that Fragameni needed. Round behind me, get back to the corner.
But round 5 is when David once again proves he's one tough son of a gun. He's bloodied from the previous round, but he doesn't slow down. Instead, he dials it up, mixing in more body shots and pushing the pace. And then, boom! Fragameni hits the canvas after a vicious body-head combination. That's it. Fragameni goes down after a brutal body-head combo, and his coach steps up and signals with his hands. It's over. No towel thrown, no dramatic wave, just a quick hand gesture like, yeah, we've seen enough. A tough and impressive performance from both men. Fragameni showed heart, grit and pressure all night, and David once again showed why he's built different.
Slightly probably pulled his elbows down to cover the second punch coming, and he was caught clearing it. Look at the power he could still summon up here. I think he paced things perfectly, tactics were perfect.
And let's wrap it up with David's fight against Arthur Williams. First round, David comes out confident, landing clean, solid shots right from the start.
It's a victory surpassed and all records broken, all reputations.
Chips and Belfast, losing to the excellent.
Williams looks a bit off. No real danger coming from him early on. He can't find his timing. His defense is loose, and David has zero problems picking him apart in that opening round. Second round, honestly, not much action here. Williams stays pretty passive, like he still thinks he's got plenty of time for the feeling out process. David lands a few decent shots, but nothing to get too hyped about.
Advice, don't force it, but when he does force it, he looks very impressive.
But then, round 3 is where the real fun begins. David turns it up, sharp, fast and relentless. He starts slipping every punch Williams throws, and countering with lightning fast combos. By the end of the round, Haye is just teeing off on him. Total domination. It gets so one-sided that ref steps in like, yeah, we've seen enough. No need to let this keep going. We all know where it's heading anyway.
Figures in his professional career just this evening.
Never wasted a shot all night. Showed great control. Very, very impressive.
That's about it, guys. As always, God bless you and your families. Stay safe out there. And I'm out.